Ladies and gentlemen, this is long overdue, but welcome to episode 1 of North Sports Dynasty Off the Boards. Unfortunately, my co-host, who suffered a non-related hockey injury, is away, which is Christopher Warishchuk, but I am one of your hosts, Kyle Yacy, and we are proud to present to you Oilers. First, I have a special guest who will be filling in, and thank you so much for coming on. I'm just going to say that, last minute, Foobs. I appreciate it. Mr. Andrew Faubert, welcome, and thank you for coming on to an Oilers podcast. I appreciate you.
Hey, fine. Thank you for having me. Like I said, I was, waiting to see you and Chris go live. I got the Red Wings game going on too, so not to look at me. I don't want Red Wing stuff necessarily to be shown on the first ever Oilers show. So
the second would be fine. Second or third.
Yeah, second or third when I'm invited, back as a guest and stuff like that. Then yeah, sure. So
of course. Well, again, I did say thank you so much for being on. I do appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's talk, trades right now. Let's talk the trade deadline, which is coming up right away. I like how you have the caption down there, Kane or Carlson, because that's the big question. Is who do the Oilers go after right now? I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that we have a lot of depth with the Edmonton Oilers forward line, probably more so than we've seen in previous years. Even looking at the game that's currently going on right now, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, 6-1. Each of those goal scorers is a different goal scorer. So, typically in previous years, you'd see your Leon Draisaitl, your Connor McDavid, but it wasn't too much beyond that. So, I guess we can even start just by, talking about them. How are you feeling that the Oilers forward lines are right now, Foobs, compared to previous years?
I mean, what I've seen, I'm not to say like that the Oilers are going to crumble or anything like that. I think that they've actually done quite well, respectively, to build the team that they got right now. I mean, living out here, you do hear a lot of Oiler this, Oiler that. The Oilers got this, and the Oilers need that. And with the trade deadline coming up, it is kind of cool to see that they are interested in some of these big names out there. So it's I don't mind the forwards though. Like Evander Kane pisses me off just as a Red Wing fan. That other game that happened was kind of funny. So, oh, look at that. I don't have to talk Oilers here. Let me do this properly here. Introduce them properly. Do it.
All right, perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was lying, and I'm going to apologize right off the bat. But our co-host did make it for the game. Mr. Christopher Warishchuk, my dude, you made it.
Sorry, no Cam tonight. I'm fucking.
That's fine, man. That's fine. You know what? I'm
triple, bro. My shoulder's so fucked up.
No, that's fine, man. No fuck. I'm happy you're here, dude. So I guess we'll just kind of lean back to the question I originally asked Foobs. So we're talking about the Oilers forward lines and just how, in previous
and the players that we can't afford to pay. Yeah, I heard all that.
Yeah. But even then, like, what do you think about the forward depth right now? Like, how's
forward depth's good. Forward depth's great.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Forward depth, like, I mean, if you can somehow add Kane and pay him 7 cents on the season, sure, fuck whatever. We just don't have the money to pay for Kane. Like, Kane's contract is massive.
Yeah,
they'd have to retain as much as legally possible and then some.
Because you're talking about Patrick Kane, just to clarify.
Yeah, we have. So we already have Vander Kane.
No, so I just want to clarify too. I don't know if anybody's actually taking a look right now. It's pretty much a done deal right now. I saw this about an hour ago, where apparently they're just inking up the contract at this point for the New York Rangers and Patrick Kane. So that's awesome.
I saw that earlier. That was his preferred spot, but I've still seen lots of people saying like, "Oh, the Oilers." I'm like, it's not. It's logistically not possible.
Yeah,
and it makes no sense. Like, I mean, sure, like whatever. Like, it never is I guess you can't have a problem having too much scoring, but like. That's not where our issues are.
No, for sure. Absolutely. But even I guess with what we have right now and what's going on and all the trades that have been happening, like even right now, I believe Orlov just went to, what was that? Boston, I believe it's Orlov. And I can't remember the other player now, but and then a whole bunch of draft picks.
Fuck. Boston is going to be a wagon.
They absolutely
are. They are a wagon, but I mean, like in the playoffs, they're going to be. impossible to beat. Like fuck.
I don't
man.
know, man. I've seen
They're
this script
so-
before, but they're the strongest.
So well
like,
put together.
oh, absolutely. I was gonna say
They're
like,
gonna break the record for most wins in a season.
They probably
There's
will.
26 games left. They need 20 wins. I don't see them losing 7 games. I honestly don't.
No, I don't blame you. When was the last time? Like, you guys have been hockey fans longer than I have. Like, when's the last time a team has been this good? Like, what was the last team to even come close to this?
The 80s Oilers.
Well, I was gonna say if we're just talking like say regular season,
Or I guess the Red Wings were like probably up there.
I wouldn't have even put up the Red Wings to say Tampa. What was that 4 years ago? But then they got swept in the first round.
Yeah,
by Columbus.
they fucking. But that team too. I don't know. That was like the start. It was the early stages for that team. Like, I think Boston is better as a whole in a sense that like that team for the most part has been together for a long time. They got a lot of cohesion. That like they've been playing together for a long time. There's not a lot of new faces. You know what I mean? Like there's some new faces, but for the most part, it's the same core guys. Whereas like that Tampa team that you're talking about, they were insane, but I don't know if they were necessarily in sync. I think they were like, it was kind of like one of the first few years that they were dominant like that, and it was just like, you know, and Stamkos was finally in the lineup, but it was like, I don't know. I just don't think. I think this team would beat that Tampa team.
Interest.
So
Like
I looked it up.
Boston's
quickly
just
while
insane this year.
Well, you guys were talking, actually, ironically enough. So the Montreal Canadiens, 1976 to 1977, had 60 wins, 8 losses.
Yeah, that's the record. It's 60
Yeah,
wins.
yeah. It's that was probably the closest.
But that
to
was
what's going on right now.
listen, now because there was what 6 teams in the league at that time. That doesn't count.
Yeah, and then there was the Detroit Red Wings.
That's why.
Also,
That's
and
why I
then
say.
the Tampa Bay.
That's why I say like the 80s Oilers and like the Detroit Red Wings because like they were like 70 plus wins a season and like, you know, like in the Mark Messier Gretzky days nobody was stopping them. In like the, you know, Pavel Datsyuk era with Henrik Zetterberg
absolutely.
and all those guys in their prime, like that team was insane. Like those, like I would compare this to those teams.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Boston's honestly like they're by far the biggest threat to any.
If they win the cup this year, I think they'll be like in the conversation like possibly one of the best like teams, like one of the best seasons ever.
Oh yeah. Oh, I definitely agree. But even with that being said, I think there is a lot going on with the Oilers. I don't think we have as many holes as people think. But
It's defense. We need a defenseman. We need a defenseman who can move the puck.
well, no, absolutely. So who is your trade targets? Like, so let's just say obviously Erik Karlsson. There's been a lot of talk about
No,
him,
you can't
right?
afford Erik Karlsson.
So who else do you go for? I was listening to the radio today, ironically enough, and there's a couple of names that were splurted out, and I don't necessarily hate them. So one of them was Luke Schenn. There's been no mention about the Oilers going after Luke Schenn, but would he fit in our scheme?
Yes and no. He's pretty stay at home. You need a guy like a stay home defense is not bad, but you need a guy who can get the puck up the wall. Like Nurse does it well. Barry does not do it well. I'm not a big Tyson Barry fan. I'm really not. I don't think he's horrible. I see almost more harm than good when it comes to from Barry. You know what I mean? Like It's like he does good things, but he also does a lot of bad things, and it's just like if he was a third pairing defenseman, okay. Fuck, Pittsburgh just scored. If he's like a third pairing defenseman, okay, but like where he's at, it's just we need an upgraded Barry, and I think that Luke Schenn doesn't necessarily fill that hole. Or was it Luke Schenn or Braden Schenn? Sorry,
Luke Schenn.
Luke Schenn. Oh fuck. I hate brothers. I hate brothers in the league. Yeah. But no, I just think that doesn't necessarily fill a hole. Like it helps. I think at this point, any defenseman helps realistically. But I just don't think that that's necessarily the best fit. I think that's a move you make on deadline day, and it's like you're Ken Holland, you're sitting there, you're like, I have to do something.
No,
you know what I mean? Like that's your
that.
last resort. It's like I got to do something. So like let's pull the trigger on this, right? I don't think that that's a primary target for them at this point. Like apparently I read today. Apparently they're like withdrawing from the Karlsson conversations, but I feel like that's a ploy for them to like try and get because like from what I've read, and again I still don't think logistically a trade for Karlsson makes any sense from a cap perspective, just the amount of stuff we'd have to give up in order to get him.
Well, it also depends on what we're giving up, though. Like,
just the sheer amount. Like we'd have to give up for obviously our first round pick, which is fine. I'm totally okay with trading a pick.
Yeah.
You have to hit that. Barry, Bouchard, and like 2 other contracts. And who are those contracts? Like you end up, like we're talking about how good the forward depth actually is right now, but you end up decimating that if you get rid of a Fogle and whoever else.
I agree.
Just to balance it out the contracts, right? It's like these are depth players that are playing good hockey. Like Fogel's played well.
We could do without Puljujärvi though, and I think
Yeah,
we
but
could
he's
do
a-
without
but he's
Yamamoto
only-
too.
See, I
Hey,
disagree.
I'll take Fogle.
No. Fogel's not. We're not talking about Fogel. Fogel's staying. Fogel's not going fucking anywhere. Shut the fuck up.
What
Shut the
are you trying
fuck
to say,
up.
Foobs?
No, Fogel's not going anywhere. Puljujärvi will be, I think, part of that. But again, like I don't know that that's a big selling point for teams because he hasn't performed. I don't think moving Yamamoto is a good idea.
Now,
I think
How
he
does
like
he
next
improve,
to.
though?
I think next to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he's the hardest working player on the team.
Oh, well, I can
Like,
agree with that, but like,
afternoons.
there's something to be said though about short forwards though. Like he is really small.
Yeah, and Martin St. Louis was terrible.
that's literally the first name I went to too.
Like
Now,
but
I was going to interject just because of you guys are talking about the trade talk there, and I just wanted to add it. Did you guys see the full details of that Orlov trade?
I
didn't catch
I
all
was
of
looking
it.
at it. It looked like, to be honest, that
It was a 3-team
Washington
trade,
got a nice return.
but it was also a 3-team trade. So if you look at it, Boston's only paying 25% of Orlov's contract.
I saw that. Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, Washington does 50, and then Minnesota came in and does 25. So with that being said,
what did Minnesota get out of it?
Minnesota got a prospect and a 5th.
I feel like they got fleeced on that.
Well, I mean, them just taking some contract and I think them just getting depth and a pick, they were like, why not? Fuck it. We got the cap space and we're making it to the playoffs too. So,
Yeah.
but I was going to say, if you could make that swing with another team, say like a Columbus, because they're not making the playoffs.
Here's the thing. This has been my standpoint for the last 3 or 4 years. With everything that has happened over the past 10 years with the Oilers, with us, the amount of first round picks we've had, not first round, but first overall picks or like high end draft picks we've had, and blown these picks and blown these players and the time we've wasted, there's not one team in the NHL that is going to do the Oilers any favors. So there's not going to be a third team that's going to want to step up and say, we'll take 25% of Karlsson's contract for you, and we'll just take your pick. Like, no, they're going to be like, fuck you, you pay him. You guys have mismanaged this team as far as cap space and the roster so badly, nobody's going to do it any favors.
Well, what about Detroit, though? Do you think we have any favors up in Detroit?
Every team in this league, as far as moving players or putting the Oilers in a position to win, is going to try and hold the Oilers over a barrel because they don't give a fuck about the Oilers' success.
Well, I think if we're just talking the Red Wings, if it wasn't for our road victory, I guess you could say, not against you guys, but just in general, the last 5 or 6 games and how we've played after January 19th, I think the only favors we would have done has been like, you give us a first rounder and we'll talk the other details and we'll give you Todd Bertuzzi and make the money work. But now
again,
that we're keeping them and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to work.
And again, like I like Todd Bertuzzi
Or Tyler. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, that's why as soon as I said Todd, I'm like, that's not right.
Hold up.
No, but again, like I like Tyler Bertuzzi. I think he's a really good player, but I again, that doesn't fill our holes. Our forward depth is good.
Yeah.
Like we have 4 lines that roll. Like Fogle scored tonight. Like, you know what I mean? Like we have 4 lines that roll and they roll well.
Every goal scored tonight, Chris, was by a different Oiler. We haven't had one person score 2 goals. Every goal is by a different person.
That's what I mean. Like our forward depth is good. McLeod, there's a player too. That's why I turned the game on. I was like, fuck, I'm forgetting some of these depth players. McLeod stepped up huge.
Ryan.
Right? Like,
what about Derek Ryan?
Derek Ryan, nuts. Like these guys are playing good hockey. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to decimate our forward group trying to go after an Erik Karlsson. As much as Karlsson would definitely add a lot of good things to the Oilers, is it worth it to decimate the depth that we have for a one player, which I don't think it is. Unless we're getting some depth forwards back that are on low end contracts, or somehow you get a third team involved that wants to do the Oilers a favor and take half that contract or some shit. Like it just doesn't. When you start going into the details of it all, it's just not logistically possible. Especially with the Sharks holding strong, saying they're only going to retain 20%. They will not trade Erik Karlsson and retain more than 20%.
But they might budge on that. And you know what? With
No,
that being said, you're
that's
not wrong.
all I've read is they will not budge on 20%.
Well, as it gets close to the deadline, if nobody's willing
Because
to make that
the
move.
thing is, it's not like with Eric Carlson, it's not like Patrick Kane's contract where Kane's a good player, but is he worth his contract that he's getting paid right now? Probably not.
No.
But Carlson is actually playing to what his playing this year. He's actually playing to what his value is in his contract.
He's on point to 100 points right now.
That's what I
he might be
mean.
the
Like,
first,
so he's actually
winner for the
playing.
first time in a
He's
bit.
playing like an actual $11 million player.
Yep.
So why would you retain cap space on a player that's actually playing at that level? Like these guys that retain these deals, they usually end up having to do that because the player no longer plays at that level, and you fucked up and signed him this shitty deal.
Yep.
But Eric Carlson is playing like an $11 million defenseman.
But here's the thing too, Chris. With that being said, yeah, he's having a good season, but you could also say that about Tyler Bertuzzi. I'm not saying Tyler Bertuzzi's had bad other seasons, like
no, but his contract's not as terrible, is what I'm getting.
True.
Right,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like where they're saying they're holding strong at 20% retention, I don't think that they move on that because he is playing like he's valued at $11 million. So why would you even? I would be holding strong, saying we're not retaining a fucking cent, but you'll never move him. So they have to do something. So they're saying, okay, well we'll do 20%, but that's all we're gonna do. And for Ken Holland, that's literally not good enough because we have like $12 in cap space.
Well, and 12 or 20% of the 11 would only put it at say about 9, and then if you're getting another team involved, they're only probably going to take 25%. So you're getting about another, like, say, $4.5 mil cap hit, maybe to $7.5 mil. And
you're
that
probably looking. I was thinking 6. So I was thinking you're probably going to end up if you get a third team involved, you'd be sitting around between 6 and 7. Now that means you have to get Barry out. You have to get Puljujarvi out, which is fine. Yep. But then at that point, we have no cap space to bring players up. Because right now we're already battling ourselves on the cap space. Kane is hurt, right? Evander Kane got hurt. I saw that.
I just got put onto LTIR today, actually.
Yeah. So if we somehow can pull off some like Nikita Kucherov shit, then fucking then this all works out. But I just don't see that happening. So soon, like right now, we got I'm not lucky because Evander Kane's a very good hockey player. But we got lucky in the fact that he's hurt. We can actually start all of our players. Last game we couldn't do that because we already are neg on the cap space.
Yeah. And
so we had to sit Desjardins or whatever. Yeah, so it's like it's if you end up pulling this off, like that, the logistics behind the cap space, like we have an actual salary cap in the NHL, so it's not like you can just like make shit go away. Like no, that's where my fears are. Is you still have to move. Like you can move right now. We could move enough players to take the cap hit for Carlson. But we can't move enough players to take the cap hit for Carlson and have Desjardins in the lineup and have Evander Kane in the lineup and have Kailer Yamamoto in the lineup and have all of our players in. Like it doesn't all. But when you start doing the math, even after moving this money out, we're fucking -10.
Yeah. Well, so with that being said, then, so what do you do then? Because in my opinion, Ken Holland, like probably more so than before, I would say he's arguably probably going to be on the hot seat if nothing is done, right? You got to make a move at this point.
So the thing, here's my thing with that. I agree. To a point, I agree.
Yeah.
You kind of got to do what Dubas is doing. So Dubas traded their first pick this year for O'Reilly or whatever, right?
Great trade too.
It is a great trade, and for Dubas, it's smart because realistically, it's either going to pan out and they're going to be very successful moving forward and not get knocked out in the first round, or he's going to get fired and then the next GM has to deal with a team that has no draft picks.
Yeah,
you're essentially trading the next GM's draft picks if it doesn't work out.
Now,
so you're playing with money that realistically you might not even get to like worry about.
I was going to interject and ask that quick, just because I do have the Oilers contracts up, say, in front of me, and I'm looking at like the Clefbaum contract and Mike Smith and stuff like that.
That's all on LTIR though.
Yeah, and now if you look at what some of these other teams have done today, like Chicago got if I'm not mistaken, it was a second and a fifth for taking the $4.5 million from Ottawa, so they can have a little bit more flexibility. James Neal and Andre Sekera's contracts are still on the books.
Yeah.
But it comes to be about 3.4. So
drives me nuts that we're still paying Sekera.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Now, would you, like, theoretically, of course, to have flexibility in the next couple days or at the trade deadline, would you be willing to give up, say, a 2023 third or a 2025 third and a 2023 fifth.
Bro, I'm literally every single draft pick for the next 4 years is available.
Yeah.
Because we have 4 years left on Connor McDavid's deal, and we need to do something, or he's going to leave when that 4 years is up.
And what's Draisaitl? Is his 3? Or is his 4
I think he's got another 3. I think he signed the year before McDavid. He's a year different.
Yeah, so after this season, Draisaitl has 2 years left, and he's an unrestricted free agent, and McDavid will have 3 years left.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. So we have 3 years worth of draft picks that we may as well trade every single one of them if we can.
Yeah.
Because what are we like? I understand you got a plan for the future, but like for this team, the future is right now. Like we have the 2 best players in hockey. Arguably the 2 best players in hockey, for sure the best player in hockey.
Yeah.
I personally think Draisaitl is like the second best player in the league. But that's maybe a little bit of a homer pick. Either way, we have 2 of the best players in the NHL under contract. And if we want to keep them on this team when this contract is up, then we need to start putting this team in a position to win. So fuck the draft picks. Fuck the future. Holland, seriously, Holland needs to do what he did in Detroit. Detroit wanted to keep winning. Okay, so they traded fucking everything. Trade everything. We need to win now, not later. I don't give a shit about later.
Well, and you're not wrong, too, because here's the thing. Like, you got to fucking look at it that way, too, because right now, even when you go and trade for players, right, they're not necessarily going to gel right away. Like, let's say we have 4 years left on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's contract, right? You're probably still going to need arguably a year to even gel the team to where you want it to be, right?
Not necessarily. Guys like if you like, okay, hypothetically, and again, I know I said it wouldn't happen, but hypothetically, we get Karlsson. Yep. Guys like Karlsson, they'll gel anywhere, right? Guys like that don't take time to gel. Like you got it like that. Like guys like Fogle or guys that take time to gel. Like look at Connor's on a breakaway. Hang on. Penalty shot. Let's go. Yeah, that's bullshit. Okay. Anyway, like guys like Fogle, like those guys. Shot? Oh, it is a penalty shot. Let's go.
Oh fuck! Hold on, boys.
Guys like that take time. Like.
Oh, there we go. Embarrassing.
Did he put that in? Obviously.
Yeah, he did.
Connor's just skating to the line right now. He's not even. Like they haven't even put the puck down yet.
Oh, like just watch it.
I'm watching the replay of the trip still, bro.
You're gonna lose it.
Anyway, but guys like Fogle, Derek Ryan, those are the types of guys that take time to gel. You bring in guys like Karlsson, like those guys gel immediately. Like they adapt. They're all world class players.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. Nasty.
I told you.
He's just frozen. But that's kind of where I'm like it. I wouldn't worry too much about that per se. Right now, this team is good. Like, this hockey team is very good. We've been streaky.
Not great. We're good.
Well,
we're not great.
We're not great. We're not. It's not even that. We're not consistent.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem with that is on the back end. It's in our defense. So if we can pick up either and Erik Karlsson, which again I'm pretty much saying is not going to happen, but I'm still going to throw it out there until it doesn't happen for sure. Or a couple of guys, like a couple of good puck moving defensemen, then you can really put this team in a position to win some hockey games. But if we don't, then we're gonna end up in the same position we did last year. We're gonna cruise. We're gonna cruise to the first and second round. We're gonna get to the third round, have to play a team like Colorado, and we're just gonna get smoked because we can't hang. We can't defend a team that has that much power. That's the problem.
But they're not the same. They're not the same as last year. Let's be honest here too. Like Colorado,
they just embarrassed us like less than 3 days ago. They embarrassed us.
They do have a lot of depth injury, but I mean, Colorado is still Colorado.
We got embarrassed. We were up fucking 3-0.
I say we screwed ourselves over, but that's
what I mean.
But last year,
but like the thing, no. But I guess what I mean by embarrassed is that we were up and we couldn't defend. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Like that game is a prime example of how I think a playoff series would go between those two teams again right now with the rosters the way they are. Yeah. Because we can't defend them. Like we can score on them, and we showed that last year. We lost that one game, like 6-4, 6-5. Like our scoring isn't an issue. We have the scoring, but if we can't defend against a team that has that much firepower, then we'll get smoked by a Colorado, or we'll barely get by them, and then we'll get ruined by like a Tampa Bay or a Boston.
Wow. Boston, yeah. Tampa, I think we can go toe to toe with. But yeah, I get.
But you know, you just got to say, like, we
Yeah.
can't defend these teams that are just absolute powerhouses on offense. We need to do some work on the back end because yeah, we'll kill teams like LA and we'll even Pittsburgh. Like obviously we can hang with. We're beating the brakes off of them, but
we swept them this season. So
that's what I mean. You get to a point where you're playing a team that is like I think the Avalanche are equally as talented as the Oilers, like as far as skill wise. But they have Cale Makar.
I was just gonna say they
got
Cale
and
Makar,
I literally said that at the beginning of the playoff series last year. I was like, the difference maker in this series will be Cale Makar.
100%.
You're gonna get ruined because we don't have a Cale Makar.
Yeah. So with that being said, actually, I heard it on the radio this morning, and the guys from TSN 1260, they actually put it into perspective pretty good, I would say. So they were talking about the Oilers defense and how, we have like a 2B, a 3C and everything. We don't actually have a 1A like defender, right? Like Nurse at most, I would say is like a 2B. You have CC, who's like your other pair on your second line, right? Who would be like comparatively that good. You have Broberg and Bouchard, who are like at best third line defenders, right? But we don't actually have that captain of the defense, right? You can't say that's Darnell Nurse because it's not for sure. But
I think you can. I think it is Darnell Nurse. I just think the problem is that they're like Darnell Nurse is being asked to do a lot.
But like at the same time, you can't say that he's not making mistakes. I actually did.
I'm not saying I never said he was perfect. I said he's being asked to do a lot.
At $9 million per year, I'd say you should
8
be
years,
able to do
70
that.
But he's the only realistically to me, he's the only top 4 defenseman we actually have.
Okay, but
there's not one other player on our defense that is actually a top 4 defenseman.
But do you think he like is a top 4 defenseman in the league? Do you know what I mean? Like if he was on another team,
he's a top 4. He's a top 4 on any other team.
I don't know. I think
maybe not a top pairing, but he's a top 4 for sure.
Not on Colorado.
I disagree. Listen.
They got
look at
and stuff, but
look at all the defensemen that have come here, been asked to do way more than they're capable of, and then left and been successful. I'll start, and you can stop me when you're getting tired of hearing the names. Tom Gilbert, Justin Schultz won a Stanley Cup the year after leaving.
Justin Schultz is the one that I remember the most. Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some more.
Not a whole ton, man.
There is, man. Hold on, I'll look.
And I want to hear post 06. Like I want to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a fucking Donnybrook here in the fucking Joe. Oh, let's go.
That's fucking Donnybrook. Fucking Donnybrook, good street brawl.
I'm looking at what I'm just. I just happened to look away. I had to yell at my phone there for a second, so I put it on.
Okay.
Mute.
Adam Larson's putting together a pretty good fucking time. Like obviously not winning a cup in Seattle.
And is he ever with Seattle? Like
Jeff Petrie, top pairing defenseman for a long time for Montreal after he left.
Yeah.
But then what happened there?
He's in Pittsburgh now.
Oh shit, he is too. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, he is.
And he's still a top 4 defenseman. Crazy how he's still a top 4 defenseman, even though Oilers fans told me he was shit for a long time. We shit. Oilers fans, we shit on Duncan Keith last year, and then this year
I did not.
I'm just saying, like as a collective, like I'm not saying you specifically, as a collective, we shit on Duncan Keith last year, and then it comes through this year that like actually Duncan Keith covered up that everything Evan Bouchard was doing poorly.
Yeah, you're not. You know what? And you're not wrong.
This city shits on good defensemen, and then they leave, and they're very successful elsewhere. They just retire like Duncan Keith.
Let's stop for a moment. This city shits on goalies, defenders,
and defense.
Not as much as goalies.
But goalies, half of them are warranted. Most of them are warranted. Dubnyk didn't deserve it.
Oh, Dubnyk was
Koskinen absolutely deserved it. He was a pile of human garbage.
He was.
Abby Boulin did not deserve it in my opinion.
Abby Boulin was old, man.
Yeah,
that's all that was. It wasn't that he sucked. He was old.
If you had the
he had a couple of good years at the Oilers.
Yeah, like if you had Habby Boulin in net,
we were also the team was shit then too. We were dog shit.
Yeah, we didn't.
That was like the start of the rebuild. Yeah,
was or anything either. Like we were fucked in that sense. But what about
Talbot?
Talbot's been kind of hot and cold ever since he left.
Yeah,
he had he had a good season in Minnesota, I think, that where he got paid.
Yeah, but then every time he gets paid, he fucking is shit the next year.
Yeah.
So you can't really say that these goalies are that much more productive elsewhere. They're better, but they're really not that much more productive. Like I haven't seen. There's not one goalie that's left Edmonton and won a Stanley Cup the next year.
No, but there's been goalies that have been very successful, and Devin Dubnyk is like.
Devin Dubnyk, absolutely. Hey, no, listen. I've always been a fan of Devin Dubnyk. I remember Oilers fans shitting on him on the radio for letting in 4 goals, and I was sitting there listening to the radio. I'm like, we had 57 shots on goal. He let in 4 goals. That's impressive, dude. He had 53 saves, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So, like, Dubnyk, I'll give you Dubnyk. But every other goalie that's kind of gotten shit on here was debatably it was warranted. Maybe not as bad. Like we obviously like this is a big market and players get shit on for fucking having a bad day all the time.
We're the Dallas Cowboys of.
But like literally like Koskinen absolutely deserved every second of fucking bad things I said about him.
I remember there was people
right now. I hope he's
him.
listening and he's hearing all the bad shit that you're saying about him right now.
There was a certain someone
lots.
who will not be named, but that would defend Koskinen like every week.
Bro, still defends Koskinen. He's like, he was a good goalie. I'm like, that's why he's not in the league anymore. Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool, man. Shut the fuck up. Fuck that guy, man. I hate
Koskinen.
Koskinen.
So fucking bad. And like there was a time too where like literally he was letting in every fucking first shot for like I think like 5.
But you know who this? You know what's funny though? So we shit on goalies. We shit all over Darnell Nurse. You know who this city loved that I couldn't stand? That was fucking terrible. Matt Benning.
Yeah, I like Matt Benning.
Yeah, that's right.
But why?
Look in the comments. Patrick motherfucking Kane, baby. Go Rangers. I fucking told you.
That would be Jacob.
Why did you like Matt Benning? For what possible reason?
Matt Benning?
Did you have bets on him not doing anything productive every week? Like
I thought he showed promise. I don't know. Fuck, honestly.
Dude, honestly, he is not even in the league anymore, bro. And this city loved him. I would get people texting me telling me I was an asshole because of what I said about Matt Benning. I'm like, Matt Benning is fucking dog shit. I was at it. Look, this is a true story. I was at the Oilers. His Flyers were in town. I was row 3 in the corner right by our net. First period. And I've always been the biggest Matt Benning.
You have a Matt Benning? Matt Benning, sign my team.
No, I've been the biggest. So I'm texting my buddy, and I sent him a snap. I'm like, look at this plug right in front of me. Like he's skating around behind the net. I'm like, look at this plug. And it's Matt Benning. And he's like, man, you should go easy on him. Like, he's not that bad. Literally, as I read that text, I can't even make this up. As I read that text, I looked up. And Matt Benning is in the corner, and he throws this pass up the middle of the ice, and Claude Giroux picks it off, dangles him out of his fucking jock strap, and then fires it over Koskinen's shoulder. And I was like, I text him, I'm like, did you see that? I'm like, because I saw that. It was right in front of me. And he's like, well, that was a bad play. I'm like, they're all bad plays, bro. He's dog shit.
Fuck, I can just see it too.
Dude, I can't. I literally can't make this up. Because I remember my dad was laughing at me. We were at the game, and he's like, because my dad knew I couldn't stand him. My dad's laughing at me because I'm losing my shit. I'm like, this guy's a god. He's a piece of shit. I'm screaming. The old lady in front of me is mortified by the things coming out of my mouth. I'm like, he's a fucking loser, dude.
She's like, I don't want you swearing at this game.
The only other experience I had at a hockey game that was better was I was at the Carolina game when Ethan Bear had his first game back, and I had this lady beside me who's a big Ethan Bear fan, and I was talking shit about Ethan Bear the whole fucking game.
Ethan Bear's the one that had the if I'm trying to remember.
He's still looking for fresh water by the blue line.
He had the
sure I can.
The different name on the jersey, right?
Yeah, he did it in Cree.
He didn't play with it like that, but they sold jerseys.
No, I think he played.
No, you can't. You can't. He didn't play with it like.
Why not?
Because it's a league rule. You can't play with it like that.
Could have sworn he
took warm-ups with it. He didn't play a game with it. Yeah, he took warm-ups with it, but he never played an actual game with it.
By the way, gentlemen, I have something for you.
Oh, no.
I'm going to put it up on the screen here in a second. There we go. I have something for your show.
Oh, my God. What is that?
David Perron.
There it is.
Fucking A.
There it is.
7-2 final. Let's go.
So this is for your guys' show event. Whenever you want to give it away, you have a
Sweet.
signed David Perron, Edmonton Oilers.
Well,
And
guys,
for any
anybody
of
that's
your,
interested, like and share.
and then any of your Maple Leaf fans.
No, fucking get that.
Oh
off.
hell yeah! We're also
Get it
giving
off
away
the
kindling.
fucking
We're
screen.
also giving away kindling. Look at that!
Holy
Hell yeah,
fuck.
dude! Yeah, you get
Oh.
a signed David Perron photo and a way to start your fire.
There you go. There's
Hell
David
yeah, dude!
Perron
No, it's awesome.
And some.
Tell you what,
signed
if you
kindling.
win, you get the option. You can have all 3 pictures. You can have the Perron picture, and I'll give you $20, and I'll record myself burning those photos. I will give you $20 cold hard
I will
cash.
give you $20.
Cold hard
If
cash.
it was Ash and Sid, they would want them in loonies and toonies and coffee crisp.
Oh,
Well, I'll just send them
Really?
$20 worth of coffee crisp. I'll be like, here
Easy
you go.
bet. Easy bet.
No, I'll just tell Sib to put it on my tab.
I will say, man, I did look up Darnell Nurse's stats, and you know what? I gotta say, I gotta apologize. Fucking, he's plus 17.
My roommate just walked in. He
Plus
heard us
17.
talking, and he's like, "Is somebody defending Koskinen right now? Because I'll come on there right now and
No.
tell him he's a fucking loser."
You know what? No, let's do that. Get your roommate in here. Tell him to
he
pop
just,
on the
he
show.
just heard me talking about Koskinen, and he's like, "What is happening right now?" He's like, he like over the door. He's like, "Is someone like?" He looked very mad. He's like, "Is someone defending Koskinen?"
No, he's a fucking.
I was like, "No." He's like, "Okay, good."
It is good to know that when you guys do go live, that if anything that Chris's roommate hears is dumb as fuck, he's gonna come popping in and be like,
Why do you think on NSD when I say shit about the Bills, I lean back in my chair really far because he's on the other side of that wall playing Warzone. So I'll be like lean back and I'll yell it out to try and get his reaction.
Oh fuck, that's funny. But yeah, Darnell Nurse, man, he's plus 17. I kind of
Plus minus. Listen, hot take. Not even a hot take. This is a reality thing. Plus minus is the most ridiculous stat in hockey.
I don't agree with that.
It is
I don't
meaningless.
agree with that.
Meaningless stat.
I don't agree with that. You know what? It's
Matt
like-
Benning was like plus 50 on the season just because he fucking tripped and fell and skated his face into the zone
I don't
when
get this
McDavid scored doesn't make him a good hockey player.
Okay? I understand he didn't sign your tits, and I'm fucking sorry, but listen,
Like, no, I'm just listen, like you can be a terrible hockey player and be plus 50. Like the plus minus is it's a bogus stat.
it
because
matters
a
more
third-
for defenders, though. How does it not matter?
not at all. Not at
How
all.
does it not matter?
Because Darnell Nurse plays 30 minutes a night. He's gonna have goals scored against him. He plays 30 minutes a night. Whereas like guys like fucking, well, I'll just use Matt Benning, who's like a third pairing defenseman. They play like 12 minutes a night. So yeah, they're not on the ice for many goals, and they just manage to like fucking find their feet while McDavid's doing some crazy shit on the other end. That's called luck. That's not called skill. Whereas like Nurse being plus 17 as a first pairing defenseman, that's good.
Yeah,
Like that's good. That number doesn't. He's plus, which is good for a top defenseman. That's rare, dude.
Well, what's Carlson right now? Like, what's Carlson's plus minus?
Look it up.
I was gonna say I was looking at contracts still for your guys.
I got it. Eric Carlson. Yeah, I type in Eric Carlson. It's like Edmonton Oilers.
I hope so.
Eric Carlson stats.
He's -1.
-1.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a player that we want to acquire, and we're talking about a player that we shit on all the time. And there's a plus 17 goal differential for the player that we shit on every day.
And actually, I'm looking at his plus.
So this plus minus right here is exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
The plus minus is a meaningless stat. Eric Carlson's a -1. He also has 18 goals, 58 assists, 76 points.
Yeah, you're
So
not wrong.
he's
been
playing
minus
because
for a
he's
bit.
in the same neighborhood as Nurse, where he's playing 30 minutes a night. So yeah, you're gonna have a rough plus minus sometimes because you're playing half the fucking game.
You know what?
The only player who plays more, the only player on the ice that has more ice time than Darnell Nurse is the fucking goaltender.
Yeah. Wow. Fuck. What's Connor McDavid at? He's got to be at least 20 minutes.
Connor McDavid is a neg.
What do you mean? Like, no, I know he's a nag. I'm just saying though, he's probably 20 minutes a game easily too, though. Like,
Oh, for sure, but I'm just saying he's negative in the plus minus. I
Yeah.
thought you were asking what his plus minus was.
but I think
Is he actually negative?
Yeah,
Yep.
he is.
My buddy, my buddy Troy shits on him every day for being negative plus minus. I have this conversation every day about plus minus because Troy shits on McDavid. Oh, sorry. Right now, Connor McDavid is +4.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Which
That's
is
not bad
good.
actually for him.
That's not
But you
bad.
know what? The thing is,
But usually, like if you look at his career, like last 5 games, so Philly he was 2, Colorado -2, New York -1, Detroit +1, Montreal -3. But again, time on ice. 25 minutes, 24-45, 23-35, 26-11. These players that log the ice time like that, their plus minus is always going to be shit because they're on the ice for half the fucking game. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to just like pretend like nobody scores and Connor's on the ice? Like that's a ludicrous world we live in.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I can see where you're coming from. I think the issue with Darnell Nurse
He finished
is that
he finished last season +4.
You see Darnell Nurse just get like where he gives it away. Like his giveaways are like blatantly obvious giveaways, and I think that's the.
But
issue,
I honestly think for Nurse I had a point on this that I like literally thought of the other day because somebody had said it. It was like somebody defending him on like Sportsnet. It's more of like he's trying to stretch the play, but what's ending up happening, I don't think that he can't. He still hasn't been able to gauge like the actual physical speed that McDavid and Draisaitl play at. Yeah. So he's trying to like launch that puck up ice and create plays. But what he's ending up doing is those passes are ending up coming in behind him. And which is caught like the defense can just read that. They see McDavid turn and they're like, fuck, like we'll just go grab this because McDavid can't get to it. And that's where those turnovers are coming from because it's really hard. And I think even for Erik Karlsson, I think he would struggle in the same role trying to move that puck up ice with guys that play at such a high pace. Because you're trying to create these plays and you do it in practice every day, but it's different when you got the opposing players literally trying to stop you.
Okay.
Right? Like so you're trying to pass and he's trying to do these things, and I think that's part of the game plan, and it's just not working out timing wise. Now what he needs to do is like Darnell Nurse's fatal flaw to me is he spends too much time in the offensive zone for a defenseman.
Yeah, I agree. I think
there's nothing wrong with pinching. There's nothing wrong with pinching, but he pinches too much, and he's not necessarily fast enough to recover. Like he does it well. He actually does cover ice quite well. He's a big boy. He's got long legs, but if he gets caught up deep in the offensive zone, that's where a lot of our like bad rushes come from. Because then he's not set and he can't get into position, and he's not ready to defend because he's so gassed from literally skating 200 feet.
Yeah.
So that's where his fatal flaw is he is constantly pinching, which again, I don't necessarily fully blame Nurse because like obviously that's part of the game plan, right? Like players, like defensemen don't pinch unless that's what they've been practicing all week in practice, right?
Yeah.
So that goes to the game plan a little bit. But like he just needs to kind of slow it up, or at least like, pinch, do your thing and get back immediately. Like he kind of hangs out. That's what I noticed is that he'll get deep, but then he'll kind of hang out by the faceoff dot, which he has a great shot. So on the power play, not necessarily a bad move, but when we're 5-on-5, you gotta be at the blue line. You gotta be ready to go back when it's time to defend.
Oh, absolutely. No, I can agree with that. That's.
I also honestly just think this city's very racist, and I think Darnell Nurse gets a lot of shit for being black.
Wow.
I don't know about that. Like, you know what? I can explore that, sure, potentially.
Like, I'm not saying every single person. Like, I'm not saying you, Kyle. I'm not saying Kyle, you're a racist. I'm just saying like this city as a collective hates Darnell Nurse, and I would say I'm gonna go with 40%.
You think
of people who hate Darnell Nurse, like they're not gonna say like I don't like him because he's black, but like subconsciously that definitely puts a target on him, I guess is what I mean. Let me rephrase my statement.
No. Let me
rephrase. Him being black puts a target on him right off the hop. It did with PK Subban. It did with Evander Kane. And I mean, Evander Kane definitely didn't help by
Anson Carter back in the day.
Anson Carter. Like these guys have all come into the league and had targets on their backs immediately just because they're black.
Yeah.
Right. So Darnell Nurse makes one bad play and now he's just this defenseman that's a pile of shit. It's like, well, Darnell Nurse has done a lot of good things too. I don't know if you recall, but it was in the COVID year with the bubble, game 4 against the Jets where we like finally got swept. Yep. Darnell Nurse played 63 minutes in that hockey game. And had an even plus minus.
I did not know that at all.
Yeah, because it went to 2 overtimes and we got killed. It was like the first part of the second overtime or something like that. He ended up, whatever it ended up being, I don't even remember. It might have been first overtime, but I remember him being over an hour on the ice. And his plus minus was even. We lost
Do
2-1.
you think though that justifies what we're paying him right now? You can't lie
If he-
lie to me and tell me that we're not overpaying Darnell Nurse right now.
No, but we had to.
I don't think
We had no
to pay him that
choice.
much. Not
We had no
that
choice.
much.
Yeah, of course.
His contract though, like, because I'm looking at
When you-
cap friendly, like Hyman, Nuge, and him are the only contracts on the Oilers until or past 2027, 2028.
Yep.
Like
'Cause-
he's there till 2030.
Darnell Nurse was like his $9.5 million contract. We can thank Peter Chiarelli for that, because when Darnell Nurse was like looking for a long-term extension after his rookie deal, we bridged him because we couldn't afford to give him like a $5 or $6 or $7 million contract.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like he'd probably be worth around 5 or 6. So he took like two. I think he took 2.1. I think he took 2.1 after his rookie deal, and then after that we bridged him again for like 2 or 3. You can only bridge a guy so many times before he's going to be like, no, like you're going to pay me or I'm going to leave. Because at that point now he is an unrestricted free agent and he can literally just walk out the door, and we lose our best defenseman. So we had no choice but to bend over and be like, yep, we'll pay you 9.5. No problem, sir.
Even looking at it now though, like maybe we should have linked up because did we still have Larson at that point?
Yes.
I honestly think that it would have been the better solution. Like if you would have let him walk, I would have signed Adam Larson longer. Just looking, knowing what we know.
No,
now.
the city chased Larson out of town.
I literally was just gonna come in and say that too, because if I'm not mistaken, when that happened, that was the 1-for-1 trade. That was the Hall finally left, and the defenseman that was supposed to save this franchise, or at least save what was left of a good team, was Adam Larson, and he came in and he definitely underperformed. Though I even threw the stats in for some of the Oiler fans and said he was one of the best man-to-man defensemen
in
for the
2017. The thing is, you know what's hilarious? Okay, so whatever, 2017 we lost to the Ducks in the playoffs. Adam Larson, Oscar Klefbom, Darnell Nurse, these guys were beloved in this city. Those three that were untouchable. They were incredible hockey players. 2018 comes along, Adam Larson, you're a piece of shit. Everybody hated Larson. Larson was he was one of our best defensemen during that 2017 playoff.
Best man-to-man defense for.
I agree. Like I said, he was one of our best. Like he scored I think 3 or 4 goals. He was very good defensively. Darnell Nurse had a very good playoff that year too, and so did Oscar Klefbom. Oscar Klefbom, career-ending fucking back injury from probably carrying the Oilers' defense. Yeah, that still kills me, dude. And all of a sudden, Adam Larson became the popular hatred in Edmonton. Then Adam Larson gets chased out of town, so we let him go to Seattle in the expansion draft. Now Darnell Nurse is the popular hate because of his contract. It's like, well, we bridged him twice. What did you want us to do? We lose Darnell Nurse. We may as well just fucking trade Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl while we're at it.
Well, Draisaitl, I don't know about McDavid.
No, we won't, Kyle, we won't have to trade them because they'll ask to be traded.
Dude,
so it won't be a matter of like that we should consider trading them. They're going to demand to be traded. Not only is Darnell Nurse, other than Leon Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse is Connor McDavid's best friend, aside from Draisaitl.
You're right.
They also, like, those two can very obviously see his value. And if you lose him, I promise you, we let him walk in his contract year, we don't have either of those players right now.
Wow.
Because we'd have no defense, and these guys would be like, we're done. Like, you got
we're stuck with
run a hockey team.
We're stuck with him for a while. So, You know what? We'll have to come back to this. This could be a whole show on Darnell there. So I'm going to be
it's just a matter of like he gets a lot of unnecessary hate because we have no defensive depth. So he's in the spotlight a lot because he's on the ice a lot.
You are right. Right?
But it's a matter of how often you're in the spotlight. But Bouchard's getting a lot of negative comments about him too. Because he's on the first pair. Our first pair gets torched, but they're on the ice for 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
But people are ripping them apart. It's like, who else would you rather put up there? You want to put Tyson Barrie up there? I seen the Tyson Barrie on the first D-pairing experiment. Let me tell you, that was horrific.
Yeah.
And
that was horrific.
Darnell Nurse is a left-handed defenseman, and I know the Oilers have a lot of depth at like right defense, but do you think that you need another lefty, or are you looking more for another righty in that?
Easily right.
I mean, yeah, you want a right-handed defenseman. Right shot defense is better, but
So if that be the case, there's a name that keeps popping up under the radar that obviously Chikrin. I'm not saying Chikrin, but Chikrin's was thrown onto the trade and all that kind of stuff. But he was also taken off the team, the roster for a bit. But also, so is Victor Soderstrom, and he's a bit of a 6'3", 6'4", 206 or
I think
207.
Soderstrom's a big L if we get him. Like that, like that's just like not an L, but like not. Sorry, I shouldn't say a big L. I just think like with the players that are available, like that's another one of those like kind of like Shen where it's like I have to do something.
Klingberg's on that list too, which I don't want, but he's,
Yeah, like these guys, all these names, like I put them under that same category as Luke Shen, where it's like, okay, like yes, does it help? Of course. But it's that one where it's like I got to do something. Like this is that's a I got to do something trade. Like Erik Karlsson is a trade that makes this team immediately better. Chikrin is a player that makes this team immediately better.
So what do you like? Honestly, Chris, though, let's just like explore the possibility that we do go for Erik Karlsson. Okay, what are you actually okay with giving up for Karlsson? Like let's say they keep the 20. Okay, let's say
this right here that I literally. I'm reading on Twitter just because I Google Edmonton Oilers trade. This I'm actually okay with, but it won't. The only thing is it won't happen because it involves San Jose retaining more than 20%. Okay. So we got San Jose. Like this is a trade that works out math wise as well. San Jose retains 40%, which is $4.6 million. We take Karlsson at 6.9. We send Jesse Puljujarvi at $3 million. We send Tyson Barrie at $4.5 million. We send a first round pick, and we end up sending, and it says top prospect, which I assume would be Borgault.
Yeah, that's what I think is totally fair.
I'm fine. But they should be absolutely shopping Borgault to these teams.
Oh, they have been.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying they haven't been. I'm just saying they absolutely should be. Like, that and our first pick should be the starting conversation for every one of these defensemen, because realistically, we don't need another young forward to come on this team. We have no space for him. Yes, he's a very good hockey player. I really like him. Like, if we had a spot for him, but we don't. We need defensemen. So this is a name that we should be looking at moving with our first round pick, with Jesse Puljujarvi, and then like I said, probably Tyson Barrie for contract reasons because he's at 4.5. And we're outraged about 9.5 for Nurse, but Barrie also isn't worth 4.5.
Yeah. No, you're.
So
yeah, I
then what it boils down to is you may have to send a Desjardins down to fit under the cap, but you have the flexibility to do that with Karlsson on the lineup. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Like, so we may have to send him back down to the minors, unfortunately, as much as he's played very good hockey and he's definitely earned a spot, I think, next year. I think if you make a move for Karlsson this year, you have to send him down, which is fine because you're basically replacing Desjardins and Barrie, who are guys that are kind of rotating around the lineup, for a guy that is absolutely a top pair defenseman.
Yeah.
And then, because here's what would happen. Hypothetically, we get Erik Karlsson.
Yep.
Your first pair ends up being Erik Karlsson and whoever. You either go Erik Karlsson and Darnell Nurse if you really want to have like an incredible first pair, but I don't think that's the right move. I think you put Nurse in that second pair.
Yeah.
Now we'll see Darnell Nurse play like a $9.5 million defenseman because he'll have more time to rest. The pressure won't be on him to be the only good defenseman on the team. He won't have to. Him and Karlsson, like that. That would be like having, instead of like, it's not a first and a second pair. You have two first pairs now that way. So instead of Karlsson and Nurse logging 30 minutes a night each, they can maybe bring it down to like 25, 24.
And then you start building depth from there.
And now you have, because now you can spread out some of this time between your top two pairs. And then when push comes to shove, like power play, you have Nurse and you have Karlsson that are both going to be good on the power play. Yep. If you're in a pinch at the end of the game, we're down a goal or whatever you mean, you put them together and you say, go fucking score some goals. Because let me tell you, a line, if I'm down one with like a minute and a half left in the game and we're taking a face off and I see Darnell Nurse, Erik Karlsson, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and either Nuge, Hyman, Kane, the list goes on. I don't care who that fifth person is. Or like actually it'd be like probably Nuge and Kane's our goalies out. Those six on the, that's disgusting, dude.
That is actually pretty disgusting.
That's what I mean. Like getting a player like Karlsson would give us the ability to take, I think, just some of I think the pressure is on Darnell Nurse to be and he is our best defenseman, but the pressure is on for him he's almost trying to overperform because he doesn't, there's no depth after him. Like Barrie is not a good defensive defenseman. So he's being asked to do a lot. He's being asked to be an offensive defenseman, but also be a stay-at-home defenseman, also be a top pair, also do all of these things, as well as do it with Bouchard on his pair, who's still making a lot of rookie mistakes. Like once you start to really think about the situation Darnell Nurse is being put in, it puts his play into perspective that he's actually not a terrible defenseman. He's just being asked to do too much because we have nobody else.
Honestly, I can say I've been hating on Darnell Nurse for a while, and I don't hate anything you're saying right now. To be honest,
right? You know what I mean? Like
makes a lot of sense.
you put it in perspective that way, and it's like, okay, well, there might be a point there. Now you add a Carlson where you can take some of that pressure off Nurse. You go, okay, look, the two of you going to be on separate pairs. We're going to split the ice time up. You're both going to get a little bit less ice time, but you're going to be fresher. You're going to have the ability to play a little bit like better because you're going to be more rested. As well as like, well, obviously, like put you two together. You guys are both going to run the power play units. Like they're going to work in cohesion on separate units, and it's going to be like at any given time during the game, we have a top pair defenseman on the ice essentially.
Yeah,
like no matter what, because then your third pair ends up being who the fuck are all of our defensemen?
DC Kulak.
There you go, right there. There's I think Kulak's a name. I think Kulak ends up. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the roster right now. I have a hard time remembering all the fucking names. But I think Kulak ends up being a name that would get paired probably with Carlson.
Yeah, I can see that
on the first or second pair. Like I think
I could see CC too, honestly.
And I mean, yeah, well, CC, yeah. Sorry, that's why I got to pull up the roster because I blank on certain players.
Broberg, Bouchard.
So Broberg would be third pair. I think you put okay. So interchangeably on the first or second pair, you do it. You can do it. We'll say Carlson and
CC.
Sorry, I'm just sorting by defense here. Okay, we'll say Carlson. Oh no, on the first pair, you put like a Carlson with a Bouchard. Second pair, you do like a Nurse with a Kulak. Third pair, you do CC with a Broberg. At any given time, because CC arguably is a top four defenseman on most teams in the NHL, I would think as well. He's quietly been very good.
Oh, absolutely. Who's your seventh D? Is a seventh?
Okay.
Seventh D would be probably Ryan Murray or Desjardins.
Is Murray still on the team?
Yep.
Is he just in like the?
I think he's literally been our seventh D.
Really? What? Really?
He's only played 13 games.
Oh, that's probably why then.
So I think he's literally been our seventh D this whole time. Nima Lyman, like you can kind of come up with a seventh D out of any of those names, but I think those three pairings, like if you end up pulling that trade off and like not decimating this team, and you put those two, like because CC is arguably a top 4D, like I said. So at any given time now with those three pairings, you have a top four defenseman on the ice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With whoever, and those matchups are kind of interchangeable. I just like them because I think that's kind of where those guys shake out. I feel like Bouchard and Kulak are kind of interchangeable that way. Like they're both very good. They're both pretty. Like they're both. They both got the same kind of skill range. Like one's not miles ahead of the other. So I think you can interchange them. However, like if one works better with Nurse or one works better with Carlson, but like that way. You have now this is this thing we call depth that we've never had.
Yeah.
So now we have this. Now we always have, like I said, a top four defenseman on the ice with whoever. Now you can take some of this pressure off of these guys that are maybe like I said, like Nurse trying to overperform and possibly underperforming because of that. Now he can kind of just play his game. You'd be like, okay, like this is your role now. Like you're gonna log a little bit of less ice time. You know, you have Kulak here because Kulak's more stay at home than offense.
Yeah.
So you got Kulak here. He's going to be your stay home guy. You can still play the pinch. You can still jump up in the play where you see fit. Make sure you're coming back. Make sure your back check's good. And he can just focus on playing. He doesn't have to have all this pressure of being the guy, which I don't give a shit about his contract. Everybody goes, oh, he's getting paid $900 million. Sure. But he's not a terrible hockey player. Like he's not as bad as the rap he gets. That's... You know what I mean? Like he gets a lot of shit for a guy who's really not that bad. We could do a lot worse.
Okay.
We have done a lot worse. I remember the years where we've done a lot worse. Or you put Darnell Nurse in that same column with Petrie and Schultz and all these guys that we chased out of town. that ended up being very successful in other teams because they were able to be put in different roles. Like Justin Schultz, I mean, I was a big Justin Schultz hater as well. I wasn't a big fan. I just didn't like his play. But I also understood when he was here that we were putting him in a first pair role, and he was not a first pair defenseman.
Yeah.
He is a fantastic third pair defenseman. Fantastic. Logging 17 minutes a night. He is a fantastic third pair defenseman, and that's the role he played in Pittsburgh, and he won the Stanley Cup the next year in Pittsburgh. Because he got to play the role that he is actually supposed to be playing.
Right now, as it stands, right, we're at 70 points. I believe maybe 72 after tonight, which is going to jump us up to a tie in second place right now. So we're going to be 1 point out of the Pacific Division lead right now. Where do you project that we're going to end? Once 82 games are come and gone.
Hold on. NHL divisions.
Yeah, so right now
I need to see it. I'm a visual.
That's fine. So we're 32.
So we're in second in the division. We're second in the division. 72
so 32,
points.
19, and 8.
Yeah. There's no reason this team shouldn't win the division.
I agree.
Absolutely no reason.
There's agree.
Legitimately no reason. We're literally 1 point behind the Knights.
Yeah.
Very good hockey team, but
which is ridiculous because the Vegas odds on Edmonton to win your division was like plus 800 like 2 days ago.
Yeah. There is no reason we shouldn't win this division.
No, I agree. 100%. Like our goal scored too. Like
looking at these teams, like I don't give a shit. I'm not looking at the records. I'm not looking at the points. Like because the Oilers are probably, in my opinion, the most underperforming team in hockey.
Chris, right now, we have the most goals scored in the West. I'm not even joking right now.
Oh, I know. That's what I mean. Like, it's just I'm not looking at any of that. Just looking at the list of teams in our division. The Oilers are the best team in the division, and it's really not close.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, like skill-wise, it's really not close. Now, play-wise is a whole other thing because Vegas is playing very good hockey. Like, they're arguably playing better together as a team than the Oilers. Seattle, I would say even the same thing. They're playing better as a team than the Oilers. If the Oilers need to play the way they did tonight, play great hockey tonight. If we can consistently play great hockey, consistently play 60 minutes of hockey, we are easily the best team in this division, and it's not close. But we do what we did. But we do what we did the last 2 years. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
That's okay.
If we continue to do what we did against Colorado and the game before against I can't remember who, where we go up 3-0 and then just be like, well, that's it. We're good. It's been 20 minutes, and we stop playing for the next 40, then this team ain't going nowhere.
You're not wrong. 100%.
We got to play 60 minutes of hockey.
We don't play 60 minutes of hockey. We did tonight.
We have to. We did tonight. We won 7-2 because we played for 60 fucking minutes. If you play hockey for 60 minutes with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on the ice, then there should be no reason we shouldn't win every game 7-2.
So insane to look at. I just kind of did a little bit of browsing. We actually have the most goals scored for a team in the league. There's nobody that has scored more than us.
No, for sure. This team should be outscoring their defensive problems, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like our defense
add more offense.
Yeah,
right?
But that hasn't been working. Like I'm saying, we should be outscoring our problems. We're not. So I love that for a fucking change that goaltending hasn't been our biggest downfall.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really
we have two fantastic goaltenders, and I'm comfortable riding either one in the playoffs. Whoever's got the hot hand,
they're going to be here for a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about that. I think within the next 2 years, you end up moving on from Campbell.
Yeah, wow.
Because you can't like this year it works. This year it's fine, but I believe because Skinner, I don't know what his deal looks like anymore.
That's 3 years, I believe. 3 years at 1.7.
Is it?
Something like around there, I think, per year.
Hold on, Cap Friendly. Cap Friendly is the best hockey website in the world. Cap Friendly Oilers. I love the site so much, dude, for this kind of shit. Goalies. Stuart Skinner is... He is an unrestricted... Oh, so yeah, that's right. He signed an extension this year for 2.6. Yep. That's right. I forgot about that.
Sorry, that's it.
So, even still, that means... So, after this year... Their cap hits respectively. Jack Campbell's $5 million, Stuart Skinner's 2.6. You want $7.6 million tied up in goaltenders? I don't know if that's a good play.
Well, what do you have? What's not a bad play in terms of like cap for a goalie?
Well, what I mean is no.
Vasilevsky, like how much you paying him?
No, what I understand that, but that's for one goalie. Like we're talking about across two goalies, like we're paying that much. Like I think what we're in a unique position where this year we have Campbell, we have Skinner. We'll go into this playoff. We got them both. We can run either one. It doesn't matter. I think next going because the thing is this is a cap tight team, right? We're already a cap tight team, right? That's where the problem is we're already cap tight. Right, where we have contracts that are 12.5, 8.5, 5.5, 5.25, another 5.25. Like these are big deals, right? So you can't. A team that is that close to the cap can't afford to have a starting goaltender getting paid $5 million and being on the bench.
Yeah,
because that's what I think ends up happening. Is this year great? We have them both. They're both playing really good hockey, And then I think next year what ends up happening is you decide you have to move on from one of them. And the logical choice, if they're both playing as good as they both have been, the logical choice is to move on from Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have Stuart Skinner for a longer period of time. He's 24 years old as opposed to Campbell, who's 31 right now. So you're going to have a longer period of time out of Stuart Skinner. You already have him locked up until 2026 at $2.6 million. So you're going to have 3 full seasons of Stuart Skinner at like a very cheap deal. Like that becomes very good for the Oilers. And Jack Campbell is not a bum. Like he'll have some good offers for like potential trades. Now he does have a modified no trade list. So that's where that comes in a little bit but that's a next year issue. But I just think at some point in the next 2 years, you have to move on from Jack Campbell from a standpoint of like if you want to improve this team at the deadline. It ends up being a deadline deal where we get $5 million out and we get a player in that's like $4 million.
Yeah. Okay. No, I like that. And,
I'm not saying you have to, right? I'm not saying we have to do that.
No,
I
but
just
it's
think
a
that
smart play.
it becomes. This year it's fine because we're 5.75 tied up in 2 goalies and they're both starting caliber goalies. That's fine. But once you start moving into that 7.6, almost 8 for 2 goalies, it's like, okay, well, do we really need to pay both these guys? Like especially if Stuart Skinner ends up playing better than Jack Campbell next year, it's like, well, we got a $5 million goaltender sitting on the bench. Like not a bad problem to have, but if there's holes next year and we need to move a contract, Campbell starts looking real good as a possible move.
No, I like it. You're not wrong. And even right now, just an update. Calgary is actually giving it to Vegas 2-0 right now.
Update. Red Wings in the wild card spot, baby.
I'll never cheer for Calgary willingly, but I'd love to see Vegas lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not. Listen,
they've only had 8 shots on net. That's
realistically, either one of those teams losing tonight makes me a very happy boy.
Oh, absolutely.
Either one losing, I really don't care. I'd like to see Vegas lose. I love to see Calgary lose.
Yeah.
What's your hate on for the Vegas Golden Knights?
I like because they're ahead of us in the standings.
From
a strategic standpoint, like Vegas should lose. From like my heart speaking, Calgary should go 0-82. Yeah.
Which, by the way, from my heart, like 100%, it always feels good to watch the Penguins lose. It feels so much fucking better to know that Penguin fans tonight are watching Red Wings ahead of them in the playoff standings, all because of the Oilers. So look at that. It all comes around.
I love it. But you know what? I think that should be a wrap for episode 1. I think that's quite a bit of good talk for tonight. I think we'll come back next week or the week after.
When is the deadline? When is the deadline?
The 3rd, isn't it?
Yeah.
So next Friday.
So
hell yeah, dude! I might be at the first Oilers game that has Erik Karlsson on the ice.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to the game. I'm going to the game next Friday.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's
why I'm saying the Jets. That's why I'm saying if something happens in the next 7 days, I might get to go watch Erik Karlsson for the first time in the old Oilers blue.
We should do a show and you should go live from the Oilers. You can find a corner or something.
No, you don't want my because if the Oilers are losing, you don't want my toxic ass live on fucking Facebook after a few Rogers beers. Let me tell you, it'd be a bad time for everybody involved. Well, I would definitely catch every ban on every platform. It'd not be a good time.
Well, Chris,
I was the guy that was like coming down from the upper bowl after another's loss, like just like chanting fucking dumb shit. Like I'm that guy.
I love it. I honestly love it. I think that's never change though, because that's how it has to be for us being Oilers fans.
Never. You know what I would never do though, because it's embarrassing as shit. I would never, ever toss a $350 jersey on the
No,
ice.
never.
That is
People are
stupid.
that do
That's the
that.
dumbest thing in the world. Like, you're an idiot. You just look dumb. Like, you're not sending a message. You just look stupid.
Yeah,
because you're just gonna go buy a new jersey tomorrow.
I don't even have a jersey like to wear. I have signed jerseys like on my wall. So
I have a couple Oilers jerseys.
I have to get one, but like
I gotta get my Grant Fuhr jersey framed.
Kim went to go get me one for Christmas, and then she realized the price of them, and she fucking cried. She was like, I don't want to just spend all of the money I have for you for Christmas on one present." I'm like, "Please don't." I'm like, "Just don't just buy the jersey. Like it's all good."
Yeah, fair. I mean, I'm opposite. I've literally every year for Christmas I've asked my parents for a different jersey.
I mean,
I've gotten to a point where my dad has told me he's not buying me any more sports jerseys ever.
Yeah, me and you have had this conversation too, because like she's gotten me nothing but like I've got my Evans jersey from football, and
there's nothing wrong with that though. That's what we like.
Yeah.
Like I told my dad, I was like, Dad, like, he was saying like he was going off about jerseys, and I was like, Dad, it's either you get me the DeAndre Hopkins jersey. The only other thing I could possibly want is a 4080 graphics card, which is $1,400. So go ahead and make a move, pal.
Though I will say this, I was on Pristine Auction last night, and I showed Kim that there was a Mo Sider signed jersey, because that was the jersey she was going to get me. It was a Mo. There was a Mo Sider, and it was inscribed like Rookie of the Year kind of thing. Yeah. Would have been $175, and then American would have been like what, $210. So like $210 for that. You know what I mean? Like that's just it's getting ridiculous nowadays.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, end her off.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for episode 1. Chris, where can we find you, my friend, other than this show?
Other than here, you'll be able to find me. I'll be on the Friday show on NSD from time to time. I think a little bit more not sparse, but a little bit less frequently now. Andrew's got a lot of things on the docket, and that's cool. So, but you will find me there from time to time. You'll find me on Wednesdays as well for Terribly Toxic with my boy Sid, where we share our toxic football takes. And we're going to be doing some fun things over the next little while, going over each division, having some guests. So it's going to get interesting. And then just on Twitter at DubSauceTTV. So,
well, fucking A. You know what? For anybody to make sure you give Chris a follow. He's pretty entertaining, as you can tell. So
yeah, I honestly spend more time on Twitter than I do my own job. If my boss ever followed me on Twitter, I wouldn't have a job. He'd be like, "It is 7:10. Why are you tweeting?" I'd be like, "Because I'm angry about stuff. I have stuff to say."
I'm not gonna say
I spent an hour today. I spent an hour today going through JJ Watt's Twitter trying to find a post from 2 years ago. I found it because I had to retweet it, so I had to go find it.
That's fair. Well,
you'll understand if you go on my Twitter right now. You'll understand. You'll see, like, that makes sense.
I don't have Twitter, but honestly,
it was from 2 years ago before Kyler signed his deal, where everybody was shitting on him, saying he wasn't going to play for the Cardinals again, and he was literally in the facility working out, and JJ Watt was just sitting there like, but, and I was like, this is literally people finding out that Kyler Murray was in the facility rehabbing till 9 p.m. the other night.
Well,
anyway. I had spent an hour trying to find that.
Well, I'm proud of you for finding it. So
my boss probably is, because I did that at like 3:00.
They don't need to know that, though. They don't need to know that. But Mr. Faubert, thank you for being our special guest. And where can we find you, Mr. Creator of all good things at NSD?
Well, thank you. You find me on Fridays for the NSD show. Tomorrow's supposed to have a guest. They're not popping in. They actually had some other things that came up, and they apologize. So we're looking to possibly get another guest, but stay tuned for that. Maple Buck podcast will be coming back up here pretty damn soon. I'm thinking next week. Just got to finalize everything and all that other fun stuff. And yeah, anytime you see that logo on NSD, make sure you hit it, like it, subscribe to it, and you can find anything that you want to hear. We might even be possibly having another show made on here, which will be an MMA show. So everybody stay tuned to that. And Kyle, Chris, thank you for bringing the Oilers show to NSD. Thank you guys for having me, episode 1, and I look forward to seeing this show grow. This is going to be some fun hockey talk.
No, I definitely agree. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Off the Boards, episode 1. And Chris, shout out for you for doing the show with me. I appreciate you, man. And I look forward to talking more hockey with all you fucks. So I think that's time to call it a wrap. Peace out.
Peace.